$1 million in two. No, I'm sorry. I lost $4.8 million the collapse of '08, just under that.
Sorry to hear that.
And I lost $2.3 million, close to it, dogs or frogs, in the last 4 years by having the wrong people making decisions.
Okay. So
And
sounds
so,
like a bad experience.
yeah, it's been a very expensive, bad experience. One of the things that I had worked out is I had $300,000 of precious metal investment money, shoehorned together, whatever words you want to give it. I had the money put together for precious metal funding. And precious minerals weren't quite yet the rage that they are now.
Okay.
They weren't seen as the value they are now yet. And then we had a lot of tragedies happen with my mother and with our transportation group between 17 and 21, especially with my mother's health.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she took sick, and we had some very bad people enter the picture.
Okay.
By 22. They entered in 20. We didn't know what they were exactly. They really entered in 17 with Kevinek and Publicly Traded Fund. If you look this up, ACGX, it's here locally. It's here locally in the area. It's here locally in the area. I want to try to find the forms from it. But may not have them. We were actually just across the street meeting with Schwab, and Mrs. Schwab actually. Mrs. Schwab had asked me why I wasn't over dealing with Mr. Fidelity, because it's a long story. And it's going to be on behalf of my mom. So what I would like to do, if it would be all right, you don't have to be on it, but let me ask you guys, just because I want to make sure that you know I'm me. And by the way, I am a congressional candidate as well.
Okay.
I'm Steve Summers for Congress in the 43rd Congressional District of California.
Okay.
Now, I currently still live in Wisconsin, but I've had my business in Hawthorne, California since 2003, January 2003.
Okay. The trucking business?
I own part of Green Team's private equity as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm the chief strategist.
Okay.
I actually make all the decisions.
Cool.
And the issue I have is that we had a precious metal fund of $300,000 when silver was at 2021's price, 2020's price, 2019's price, and gold was at 2018's price and 2019's price. And some very bad people came along and swindled you guys, your Fidelity, or else it's identity theft, one of the two. And what I would like to do, if it's all possible, because it's on behalf of my mother, by the way, these are unopened.
Okay.
I'd like to just, you don't have to be in this, but I'd like to save it for me, because my name has been destroyed. My name has been harmed. My reputation has been destroyed. My mother's health has been destroyed. She's been victimized for 4 years straight. She was victimized originally by John O'Leary and Joan Queen. And this is her sister-in-law and her brother. And he managed to steal from and this goes back, because my grandmother's deceased now, but my mother's been here with you guys since the 90s, 93. So all these people were alive at the time this was unfortunately going on. So basically, John O'Leary and Joan O'Leary stole from my grandmother, Bridget O'Leary, and my mother and myself and some other, but I was very young at the time. And they did a lot of other horrible shit to my mom. I'm just trying to make it as fast as I can. So they're dead. They died last year, among other things. But they were part of doing all kinds of things with Thomas Kilty, hoodwinked Marie Kilty at the behest of a Harriet Vanderscoop, or whatever her original name was, also goes by Harriet Kilty. And the sad part of it is my mom was never mentally well. She was diagnosed with severe schizophrenia in the 90s. Unfortunately, she has come down with dementia.
Okay.
In the meantime, she got COVID and several other things have happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
She was utterly incapacitated by June of 21.
Okay.
She was in a facility. She was under care. There was a power of attorney fully in force at the time. There were material witnesses. Mike is a business partner, as well as material witness, as well as a dear friend of my mom. Mike, how many times have you picked my mom up, taken her places, and you're not paid anything for the kindness of your heart? But you incurred a lot of expenses. You incurred a lot of expenses the last so many years helping. So, by the way, there's 119,000 remaining assets right there. S&P Global, Disney, all kinds of them. When I was trading authority on my mother's account with you guys, because, by the way, all the trades are recorded, they're saved, there's voice recognition technology. That's what I really loved about your group, is you have the voice recognition technology to help people to authenticate who they are. And it's really helpful with a disabled senior citizen. And if you look at all the trades I placed between June, July of 21 and late fall of 21, my mother made 18% on her money in that period of time.
Okay.
I am a strategist. I don't know. Have you ever seen Rain Man?
Yeah.
Do you know what a savant is? Okay. Are you familiar with Asperger's genius spectrum disorder?
Is that not what
That is.
that's Hoffman
yeah.
had in?
Yeah, but it's also, yes, but there's a lot of people have it at different, not as extreme, but there's different varieties of it. But it's earmarked by some parts of their brain are much more ahead than normal people. At the same time, there'll be another part of their brain that, they can't figure out how to buy socks.
Yeah.
They could be running a 10,000 line trading platform with ink in a room, but hey, Jerry, do you have a pair of socks?
Yeah.
Wear socks.
Yeah,
Where do we get those at? That's me. That's why I have my team. Mike, is that not me? That's me. Okay. Mike's like, you wouldn't.
In flesh.
Yeah. So with all that said, and it took me a long time to figure that out. I got diagnosed at 16, but they hid that from me. They don't give you your medical records until you're older, whatever the fuck. Excuse my language. And then they give them to you, and it's 2023. I'm like, what is this nonsense? I'm going through storage units. I'm like, when is this from? When they mailed it, 1994. What does this say? Really? Well, this would explain everything now. Then you go back 30 years of your life, you're like, well, here, this explains everything. It's like, how did you know how to do that? I'm like, who cares if I knew how to do it? Just follow my directions. Now, I was going through a lot of hard times in life until I met a North Shore millionaire, multi-millionaire family that lives right down the block from here in Deerfield. He's a disabled gentleman. He's 72, Randy Tapper. He also is in this office here. This is his
Fidelity.
Yeah. And I'll give you his number, Randy Tapper, 847-456-1702.
I'm sorry, what was the last one?
1702. Okay. And by the way, you are very gifted because you're taking meticulous notes. That's a sign of giftedness. Okay, that's very important. I can run a targeting computer and it all like here. I talked to somebody the other day. I reminded them what they did for me in April 1986. I was like, hey, do you remember he drove me over there? I remember that guy. I told them what color car they had, what color car they had, and I told them everything that they did. And this guy is 60 years old today and blind. And he goes, and I said, well, he was in a terrible accident, but he's actually part of the church and he helps my mom. And because he says to me, Steve, you're retarded. I'm, just really concerned about you. I said, well, thank you so much. That really helps my feelings. Have you considered what an IQ north of 178 is and a Mensa membership is? He's like, no. I'm like, you might want to go read about it while you're picking on retarded people.
Yeah.
They used to use words like that. Use words like that. It's like when I started flying planes when I was 17. Found out I had the same gift as that 16-year-old that started stealing planes at 16. He didn't take no lessons either.
Yeah.
Just, hey, it's an airplane. Let's see what it does. By the way, Mike, we'd hire him if he don't have a job. Now that he's out of prison, I would hire him. Hire him in 1 minute. I put him in charge of our aviation class. Now that's actually, I went to a real flight school, but I'm just throwing that in there for fun. There are some people don't need to go to the real one. So, I mean, in 1902, there was no flight school. They built this thing in their backyard. 1903, they took it out for a little run down the beach, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
But back to us. So, long story short, giving you guys the backstory, being polite, thanking you guys. May of 2022, I make the mistake of bringing a character named Russell Honor into the Fidelity office in Orland Park.
Okay.
This character had befriended my mother, befriended our family, befriended the situation. By this point, Marie Kilty is very ill, borderline, not able to take care of herself. She has predatory grandchildren living in her house. My mom had been living there on and off. My mom had also moved to living in a Catholic ministry home, retirement place since 2012. My mom has mismanaged all of her affairs. She's utterly a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Russ's idea was, hey, why don't we have everything, since you live in California or you're in Wisconsin or you're in Florida, why don't we put everything...
Yeah, if you need to step out, they'll let you back in, Mike.
I'm sorry for becoming so fashionable. So he's okay, and he was on the end of the power attorney document at that time. He was the number 4 position, and so he said, okay, this is somebody, his mom worked for the city in that town, the family was known, but we didn't know this guy had a gambling problem. We didn't know this guy had other issues. We didn't know this guy had a history of taking in disabled or pretending to help people. The worst thing I found out about him, I don't care about the millions that he stole from us. Actually, I do, because I'm here to talk about it. But the most evil thing I found out that he did was he beswindled a lady in the Beverly neighborhood in Chicago. He was part of Morgan Park Baptist Church. She was a relativeless, older African-American lady who had worked hard her whole life. She was an immigrant from the Caribbean. And this monster ended up becoming her care assistant, her care provider, and her whatever, because his dad was friends with the pastor at the time. He stole her house. He stole her everything. And the only thing she really, because she was very ill at the end of her life, she had sewn a dress in her cultural type of dress they wear in that country. She wanted to be buried in this dress. What he did to her, he put her in the dress and he had her cremated.
Oof.
Okay, this is the kind of animal this guy is. Now, this guy came down to your office and basically said to you guys in May of 22 that, now remember, at that time, my documents are coming to the house in Oak he owns. He has been financially a wreck since 2019 or so. So we're actually supporting him and his sister somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's playing this community do-gooder's role. He's a community do-badder, not a do-gooder. He was one of the Oak Lawn police retired people and the father of a high school friend of mine who was by then a retired fireman who lived a few blocks away. They gave me the real story on who Russ Honor was. And, but this would of course be too late. This would be, after the sabotage. So what happened is there were Fidelity cards mailed to us. Cards to use for transactions. There were my mom on tape. Fidelity had hours of YouTube footage because I would save things on YouTube and I would share with our Fidelity agent. Hey, if you guys have any questions, because my mom is not well in her mind. So she calls up, it bothers the shit out of Fidelity sometimes. She'll call up and say, I don't like this stock. Okay. We'll have your son sell it. I don't like that stuff. Okay. We'll have him make it go away. I mean, we didn't, she was declared incompetent, but the reason I bring this up, Schwab just put this on me today. They said we need the incompetent, because she was just recertified, unfortunately, October 1st, to be severely disabled. And I was told that I have to take care of my mother, or else I'll face ramifications, because there's 4 people on this power of attorney. The middle 2 have either refused to help her or won't help her. Randy, the gentleman I spoke to, the multimillionaire down the street here, he's in the number 4 position. And he has been a saint. I mean, he has been a saint of saints. Plus, we have a family friend, a Mrs. Virginia, lives in Beverly. I'll keep her last name out of it right now. She and her son Joseph have been family friends forever, and it's so frustrated, the backstory of this. How can there be assets and a woman could be sleeping in the alley if it wasn't for her son paying the bills and his business paying the bills? Because that's how my mom has had a place to live for the last so many years, because I pay the bills. So what happened is I get this call from Fidelity. All the accounts are locked up. The cards are canceled. This couldn't have happened at the worst week. We were about to pick up a group of tanker trucks. I had a terminally ill friend, dear family person, friend of my mother's, Theoline J. Dixon in Texas, could have passed away. I was told she was not likely to make it. At that time, she would have been in her 90s. Okay. She was heartbroken over her son being in a nursing home himself, and I had always told her that I would do what I could to help your son in life. We had a bag of filing cabinet, more like it, full of more papers. My grandparents, my grandmother and mother, I mean, here, I have the Walgreens stock papers here. My mom didn't participate in Walgreens went private, right?
Yeah.
She has a ton of their stock. They sent her this thing. I'll dig it up for you in a few minutes, but it's in here somewhere. Let me see if this is in here. Anyway, well, it's in here somewhere, but it's Walgreens, and they said, hey, look, folks, we're going to give you a final price of $11 and something cents a share on Walgreens. It's the final price. You just fill out this paperwork. You got 1 billion shares. We'll send it to you. Randy lives on Wilmont Road, right down the block from the Walgreens headquarters. That's the funny thing. So, Fidelity shuts everything down. They said, we need to talk to your mom. We need to verify, because Russ has made a complaint that you're not managing your mother's. Look, Brian, I want to be very honest. Every transaction I made for my mom, every payment, she had 4 storage units, she had nursing home bills, she had business interests, she had a whole litany of things, and I meticulously made sure all this was taken care of. So now, in May of 22, this thing gets locked out, and all of a sudden, we get hit with all kinds of defaults. Fidelity has phone calls with my mom, and it was saved even on YouTube in June of 22, where my mom is clearly out of her mind, speaking in schizophrenia, speaking in dementia, clearly not able to make any decisions. And she's been living in a place since January of 22 that I arranged for her to move into, the first week of February of 22, that I arranged, that I'm making the payments on. And it's on tape, just like you're not here, but I'm here. Because I'm my mother's fiduciary, and I'm also a public figure in California. I'm Steve Summers for Congress, and I'm an executive also in a private equity and a precious metals fund. Because I'm the clown that told everybody 3 years ago, hey folks, when this problem started in Ukraine, let me tell you what's going to happen. All the elements on the earth are going to get real pricey real quick. So I posted a position 3 years ago that precious metals would gain 20% a year. And a whole bunch of people put their money in behind me, starting in March of 23. And then by April of 23, there was a lot of them put their money in. And do you know what them precious metals are worth now?
Probably a lot.
They're worth a lot. Silver has quadrupled. Gold has almost tripled. And people are going, well, what's Stevie going to do next? Well, for fun, I'll show you before we leave. I'll show you. It's inside. I don't want to say it's insider information. mean, it's public information, but it's private research. I'll share that with you. You can take it home, share it with all your friends. When you make your millions, you say, well, it's that Congress guy, the activist congressman from California that everyone hates. And if you look, I'm an independent purple candidate, which means I'm after both of them, both the criminals, both sides of this con game, both sides of this theft ring that has defrauded America and has harmed the most vulnerable and helpless financial people in Los Angeles, my district, have been left out. We have $40 trillion in debt ran up in 24 years, and we have all these trillions of dollars going overseas to NGOs, to people, and we have children sleeping on the sidewalk in Los Angeles now. I have moved these people into my own personal residences. They've slept in my own properties. I've put them in hotels personally. I'm not talking what Brandon Johnson does here. I'm talking what I've done. So, back to this. Basically, June of 22, Fidelity refused to release and allow the account to be used. All kinds of things began to collapse and default. It got worse in July of 22. Let me make a long story and a lot of suffering short. We lost $2.3 million worth of stuff.
Okay.
When I said we lost 2.3, between money, assets, foreclosures, repossessions, the whole thing, that's what we lost. Now here's the most tragic part of this. In February of 23, Fidelity was cornered by myself and several other lawyers. And they admitted that they had really fucked up, excuse the language. They had done the wrong things, that they had believed people they should never have believed. They had locked up accounts on people they never should have locked up. There was people now being thrown out of houses, being thrown out of storage units. There were storage units being sold. There were eviction notices being sent. There was horrible things happening to a lot of people. Okay, what Fidelity said is, well, we'll release the silver, because they were holding our silver. I didn't want the silver released. I wanted to have stayed on the market. It'd be worth a lot more today. Fidelity said that they were going to close all the accounts. And I had already told them that I was going to sue them 19 ways till Monday for what they'd done to everybody. I hadn't finished law school yet at that point. I was still working very hard. In LA and in California, law school works differently, of course. In California, Virginia, Vermont, Washington State, you're still a very young man. I'm 52. You're still a young man. You can still do a lot with this. Let me tell you this. Friends of yours can do a lot with this. You don't have to spend $300,000 in California to become a lawyer. You don't have to spend 7 years of your life tied up. If you have an 18-year-old or someone in your life that you're mentoring, they don't have to do 4 years of college and 3 years of law school. There are 18-year-olds right now in California passing the bar exam.
Really?
Listen, there we go. There's 4 states, California, Virginia, Vermont, and Washington State, 4 states where if you think you're smart enough to come down here and sit down with this bar exam, they have to give you a law license if you pass it.
Huh.
I went to work in 2011 for John Alexander Mendoza. He's a legendary litigator. He was a great man of the church. He's also was a law firm owner and an investment fund director. And he said to me at that time, he said, Steve, you missed your calling. You should have been an attorney. Because he looked at some of the legal work I had done, including the parental rights case, and made it all the way to the Supreme Court in 2008 on behalf of parental rights. I did that pro se. People said, well, you can't just come in here and drag all these clowns in here before the Supreme Court. Yes, we can. That's what this country is built on. So, well, you wouldn't know how to do that. Hey, don't worry about what I'll know how to do. Here's the subpoenas. Go bring me them people in here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Summers versus Davis, if anyone wants to look that up, as in me being Summers. So John looked that up. He said, Steve, I'm hiring you as my jury consultant and my trial consultant because I have the largest trial potentially in California pending right now. I said, okay, tell me all about it. So this trial goes on to be the longest jury civil trial to favorable verdict in California history. It's a 14-month trial. So what I got to do every day is I got to sit there and trial consult. But when we picked the jury, I was part of picking that jury.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone said, well, how are you going to pick the jury? I want to look at them in the parking lot. I want to look at I want to look at every aspect of their life because people, just like animals, just like people leave footprints. And our footprints are indicative to who we are. You can't hide your footprints. You could dress me up as the Count of Monte Busto right now. Right? I could dress up in a
Top hat.
all that, you know? Okay, but guess what? I'm not the Count of Monte Busto or the Earl of Monte Busto or the Count of Monte Cristo or whatever. You know, um, our footprints are who we are, and I spent years studying human behavioral science so I could figure out me and I could figure out the world. Because when you are have that spawn thing, you're like you look at the world like this. We look at the world like this. This is how we see the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can't look at it like this. So we have to adjust our brain and learn how to do it. So, long story short, John won the trial. Our law group won the trial. But he's credited with winning the trial. Yeah, well, he did the majority of the speaking, but the other people spoke too. But, you know, I'm the and see here's the thing. If you can get the other lawyers to get mad and be mean in front of the jury, that's very important. Okay? And for them to show how elite and powerful they are, picking on the poor little parking lot minister. Because I was dressed like a hobo every day at court, you know. I mean, I was, you know, the court, can't you afford more of what you're paying your, what does he do for you guys? So it worked out great. The right people won, the wrong people lost. It was a beautiful day. John's unfortunately no longer with us. The congresswoman I'm running against was a terrible person. She was very mean to John. She's very mean to everybody in that district. He lived in her district. This Congress lady said to me on KTLA on live television accidentally with cameras rolling, she said to me shortly after his death, well, if you don't like how I ran things around here, blah, 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 I'm glad John's dead. And if you don't like how I'm treating black, brown, homeless children, the DCFS throwaways, the veterans that live in the alley, and people like you, meaning me, why don't you run for Congress against me? I went, that ain't a bad idea.
Hello.
You know.
Good morning.
Now we've raised seven figures. We've raised $1.9 million for the campaign. You can look up the campaign. Just Google Steve Summers for Congress. It's not that important, but I'm just bringing it up. So, long story short, Fidelity told us in February of 23 that all this was closed. My mom was a vegetable. They weren't dealing with her. Good luck. We'll see you in court. You'll see us in court. Everyone will see everybody in court. I said, great. That sounds wonderful. Long story short, I was very busy from March 23 to April 24. I had a death scare, a melanoma scare, a depression scare, a cancer. I had a lot of things go on in 13 months. But then there was a car accident in Orland Park on April 2nd. Since we were down there having to deal with this, our work BMW was hit by a bad actor. We won't discuss that case, but it was a bad actor. Since it was right down the block from Fidelity, and I was curious about all this paperwork in my mom's possession, I decided to go ring the doorbell at Fidelity. So we went to ring the doorbell. We sat down with them, and the director of Fidelity, the whole office on tape, said, the accounts are closed. We have no answers for you. The accounts are closed, and we have no answers for you. I said, you're on tape. I'm suing you guys for the $2.3 million I want back from what just the losses you've done to my mom and all of us. And now you're gonna lie to me in my face and tell me these accounts are closed when I know they're open. And they said, we assure you they're closed. I said, can we say lying congressman? Because I'm already dealing with that. And I said that on tape. I said, we're already dealing with that. I'm getting signatures to get on a ballot at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to me that I'm Bibby Batshit. I said, okay. Now, you would agree, these are opening in front of you. This is not staged. Let's see what we got here. I'm curious, Mike.
Very much.
Because here's the problem we got. We got other financial providers don't want to provide for me and my mom because this experience has destroyed her name and my name. And now this is causing us economic hardship. And this is all wrongdoing on Fidelity. This is the July 1st to September 30th Fidelity account. Imagine that. And it's not in the form that I instructed them. Here, I'm going to share that. That's the first page you would agree with, yes. Now, this is the other person. That's Stephen A. Summers. That's me. That's me.
Mhm.
Yes. And here we go. This is the third one. Here's the envelope for that. Now, the next one should be the individual account. Or no, I'm sorry, the joint account. Now, I just simply came down to ask, and I know you're going to have to go get one of your supervisors and call me back, and that'd be perfectly fine. And you can make copies of these if that will help. I just would like that little old $2.3 million. And I'd like it back in the precious metals fund where it originally was before this entire nightmare began. And by the way, Michael, as a material witness, do you want to tell me the value on the precious metals account that was originally $300,000? Okay, as a material witness, and you want to read the two names on this account, and then read the value of the account that was just opened for our dear friend here.
Stephen A. Summers.
Stephen A. Summers, that'd be me.
Okay.
That'd be me.
A. Summers, Catherine B. O'Leary.
Yep, and then how much is the $300,000 worth now? Please.
2.3.
No, how much is it worth, Michael?
Oh, I have no idea.
It's right there on the page. I believe it's $16.55.
$16.55.
Wow. I think we even beat Marvin Madoff with that kind of return. I'm sorry, Barry Madoff. No, Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff. Bernie sure did make off. The only people doing better with stealing money than that is the U.S. Congress. They got you for $40 trillion so far. And that's why I'm running for Congress. I want to put into that. And then we got another one here. This would be the account I opened for my mother on her behalf. This one, Michael, excuse me. This is the account I opened under the power of attorney directive supervised by William P. Butcher. That's Attorney Bill Butcher. On June the 28th of 2021, he signed and supervised that power. He came to the nursing home. It was videotaped. It was documented. We had material witnesses because Bill said, your mom has a history of having a very bad episode. And if she does, and here, like the latest thing she said the other day to us, she said, my shoulder hurts. And she has this thing now, she calls libraries to get people to talk to her. And she gets a hold of all kinds of people. She says, my shoulder hurts, and my ankle hurts. Well, Mom, you were rushed to the hospital September 11th. The fire department had to break down the door because you had locked yourself in the residence after the caretaker had left. And you put the security locks on. And then you called us to say, I fell on the floor.
Mhm.
And this is 4 in the afternoon. I said, what do you mean you fell on the floor? She says, I fell on the floor.